I got to be able to move my camera. Good. I got to be able to move it now.
Is everybody good? Sir, hang on. You have to either kneel down or go to the back, sir. Hang on a second.
We need to go.
I know. Okay?
We need to go.
All right.
Thank you for being here. Sheriff Demings will provide you a briefing on the tragedy that has unfolded here this morning. He is accompanied by Mayor Teresa Jacobs, FBI ASAC Ron Hopper, FD SAC Danny Banks, and Fire Chief Otto Drost. Sheriff Demings.
It's a sad day for us here once again in Orange County. I'm going to share some details about a tragedy that occurred this morning at the Fiamma Incorporated business that you see just behind me. Our hearts and prayers go out to the families of the victims this morning. I will share more detail about what has occurred. You will be hearing from myself as well as Mayor Jacobs in just a moment. Then she will be followed by a representative from the FBI and the FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and the fire chief who responded to this emergency this morning. But let me just share some details with you. At about 8:03 a.m. this morning, we received a 911 emergency call into our communications center about an active shooter situation here at the Fiamma Incorporated business. This is a worldwide business that primarily provides accessories for RVs. At about 8:45 a.m. this morning, we were dispatched here to this call. Deputies arrived on scene just 2 minutes later to the active shooter call for service. Once they arrived here, they found multiple individuals that had been shot. 3 male victims were deceased at that time. 1 female victim was deceased. A 5th person, a male, was transported to the Orlando Regional Medical Center where he subsequently died as a result of his injuries. There were 7 survivors, individuals who were inside this business who are being interviewed presently by detectives from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. We have a 45-year-old subject who is deceased inside as a result of his own means. The individual was armed with a handgun and a knife this morning. There's no indication that he used a knife on any of the victims, but shot 5 innocent people this morning and then turned the gun on himself and killed himself. The individual in question is a former employee of this business. He was fired sometime in April of this year. So he was a disgruntled employee that came back to this business this morning. In terms of our history of this business, we have very few records of any significance here. However, about 3 years ago, in June of 2014, we did respond to this business in which the subject who is responsible for the deaths this morning was the subject of a workplace violence incident in which he allegedly battered another employee here in the business. There were no charges actually of that time. In terms of this subject, this 45-year-old subject, when we look into his criminal history, what we have found is that he has a criminal history minor in nature. Charges such as possession of marijuana, DUI, and misdemeanor battery. At this time, we have no indication that this subject is a member of any subversive type organization. We have no indication that this subject is a participant in any type of terror organization. What this is at this point is likely a workplace violence incident. We will get more into the details of the investigation as it unfolds. At this time, we have designated a reunification location for the family members. What we're asking individuals who may be related to persons who work at this business, we have set up at Full Sail University, which is located at 35 35 North Forsyth Road, a family reunification site. Families are able to respond there to a building called the Live One Building. The Live One Building. We have deputy sheriffs who are there who will direct family members to that particular location. We also have a phone number that has been set up for individuals to call should they wish to receive information. The phone number is area code 407-679-0100, extension 3087. And I'll repeat that. Area code 407-679-0100, extension 3087. At this point, I'm going to ask Mayor Jacobs to come up. She's going to make some statements from a community perspective. She will then be followed once again by the local representative of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and then the special agent in charge of our local Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and then Fire Chief Otto Droids will come forward. We will then take some questions after they speak.
Thank you, Sheriff. First, I wish to express my regrets, my sympathy, my sorrow for the family members and the friends of those that we lost this morning. Unfortunately, we've seen this play itself out in our community and in other communities across the nation. And it is incumbent upon all of us not to become complacent or become callous to these horrific. To be vigilant. If they see something that seems abnormal, they need to say something. I want to commend Sheriff Demings and his entire team that stands behind us, our first responders, for their swift action to be on site and to assess the situation as quickly as possible. One thing we know about Central Florida is we have expert law enforcement men and women, and we have a community that cares and that has shown that compassion time and time again. And a community that I know will display that same compassion for the families that have lost their loved ones here today. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ron Hopper. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for the FBI here in Orlando. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and family members of this tragic incident. Nothing really to add other than to say that as we would in any active shooter situation, shortly after the call came into the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the FBI responded in force as we would in any active shooter situation. We will remain with the Sheriff's Office until our resources are no longer necessary to help them complete the investigation, and we always stand shoulder to shoulder with all the men and women of law enforcement here in Central Florida, to include FDLE, OPD, and obviously the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Danny Banks with FDLE. Proud that FDLE responded here with the FBI to support the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Again, our role is to come out today to try to evaluate, was this related to a terrorism incident? What I'll tell you is, whether it's a terrorism incident or not, which we do not believe it is, it's still an incident of violence in our community. So our hearts and prayers go out to the families of the victims in this incident. I'll give great support to the sheriff and his staff. We know we've lost several individuals due to violence today, but 7 other individuals' lives were saved by the quick actions of the Orange County Sheriff's deputies that got here within 2 minutes of this incident occurring. I think that's an important recognition we give those deputies and the members of the Orange County Sheriff's Office. So we're glad from FDLE to continue to support the effort here in the reunification of the families and ensuring our community that we still have a measure of safety that we all have to be a part of, and we'll continue to champion this cause of see something, say something. Information that may be indicators of this type of activity in our community needs to get to law enforcement so we can try to prevent these from happening again in the future. So thank you, Sheriff.
First of all, I'd like to add my prayers and condolences certainly to the families and to the community at this time of our grieving. As far as fire rescue operations go, I can tell you it was a coordinated effort along with the sheriff's office. As soon as the scene was cleared, less than 3 minutes later, the patients were being assessed. The initial 4 victims, along with the shooter, were declared to have injuries incompatible with life. The 6th person was assessed and moved off the scene en route to the hospital within just a few minutes and was given the best opportunity at survival because of the coordination between the sheriff's office and fire rescue. Thank you.
Sheriff,
at this point, we will entertain any questions that you may have, and I will tell you up front that it is our plan to do another press briefing at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. today, in which at that time we will identify, hopefully we will be able to identify the victims and other individuals that were involved in this incident.
Sheriff, do you know where this happened in this building?
This is, as you can see behind us, it's a fairly sizable business, and the people who came to work this morning were going about their business, but it occurred in multiple different locations there in the business, and the shooter himself actually took his life, and he's actually inside the business as well.
Was this a secure building, or did this man have to follow somebody in to get inside? Did he threaten people to get his way inside? What do you know about
I don't
that?
have all the details at this point, how he was able to get into the building. We are interviewing the surviving witnesses at this point, and we'll better understand that and perhaps brief you at 1 p.m.
Were any survivors hurt? Were any survivors shot or hurt? Any survivors shot or hurt?
None of the survivors were shot or hurt.
How many employees were there when all of this was happening? Do you guys know? How many employees total?
There was probably 12 employees that were inside the building at the time.
At this point, do you know if he was shooting at random or going for specific targets?
Again, we're debriefing the eyewitnesses at this point.
Sheriff, just to confirm, there are different victims in different rooms, correct?
We have multiple victims that are still inside, and we're going through that crime scene at this point. Again, once we know more about what is occurring within the crime scene, we will share that information
Sheriff,
with
are you
them.
able to speak to the level of response here? You know, you have multiple agencies, the FBI included, especially the fact that it's 1 week before we mark 1 year since this nightclub massacre, terrorism, of course, being on a lot of people's minds.
Well, we're all on a heightened alert here in our community, as well as across America, across the globe, because of many of the incidents that have now happened in the United Kingdom. So this is one holy period of time during Ramadan in which we within the law enforcement community, both federal, state, and local, have increased our concerns and our response and our analytical capabilities during this period of time. So we cannot again connect this incident. It appears that this incident has nothing to do with any global terror activities.
And Sheriff, do you know if the suspect killed the person he was accused of battering back in 2014?
It does not appear at this time. The preliminary information I've received is that the person that he battered in June of 2014 or was accused of battering is not one of the victims today.
Sheriff Demings, you've laid out that he's had a history. You just spoke about it at this location in 2014. Since he was fired or let go in April of this year, has he made any threats, or did he make any threats to this business or the people in that time period?
We have no reports of any specific threats to members of this business or otherwise. This is an internationally owned business. I'm told that the ownership group, they are Italian. Some of them may live in Italy itself, and then one of the principals, I believe, lives in Boston. So that's the connection.
What's his name?
We will not release the name at this time. We're still going through that process of notifying appropriate family members, etc. So at 1 p.m., it will be our goal to release the names of the people involved.
Any idea about the motivation behind this? I mean, you said it's an instance of workplace violence. Can you give any more details about that?
Well, obviously, this individual, the subject, that was involved today. The shooter was carrying a gun and a knife. He had formerly worked here, was fired because of different activities here at this business that I won't get into at this time, but because he came back to this business and shot people who he had formerly worked with, it is akin to a workplace violence situation.
Sheriff,
All right, thank you all very much. 1 o'clock, we'll come back.
Mayor Jacobs, can we get a question with Mayor Jacobs? Mayor Jacobs, can we get a question, please? Just want to know, in the last 1 year ago was the Pulse shooting. A week ago was the incident at the airport. Now we have this. What is happening in Orange County and Orlando that we're seeing this much violence? And what would you say as the mayor is causing this increase, or at least repetitive increase, of mass casualties?
One quick response, and then we're going to pray for the
I wish I could answer your question with more information than I have. I think you all have witnessed what we've witnessed. Certainly the situation here appears to be very different than the situation at Pulse. Based on all of the intel that's been discovered, we'll wait to hear more from law enforcement if they discover anything. They appear to be two separate issues altogether. I will just say what I said earlier. I would ask our citizens, if you see something that troubles you, if you have a friend, a coworker who is behaving in a way that concerns you, to please go the extra mile, make the call, have the conversations with law enforcement, let them know of your concerns, and each one of us has to be responsible for our own actions, but we also have to look and be cognizant of what's going on around us. Thank you for your question.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Again, we will be back at 1 o'clock for an additional briefing, as the sheriff has mentioned.
Hey, Brian. Thanks, Ed. You're welcome. There was an issue. So, an emergency